Welcome to The Outlet, where we keep you plugged in to everything energy. To lead the charge, here's your host, Tom Glanzer.
Well, here it is, Molly. It's time for your reveal to our podcast world. Welcome to The Outlet. I'm your host, Tom Glanzer. We are joined by Molly Schwend, and Molly is a counterpart of mine. Honestly, we do a lot of the same stuff. She doesn't have to do a podcast as many times as I do, but we had actually it was Lori's idea. Is like, this is coming up. We have to get Molly on the show. And what a better way to kick things off than start talking about your background, your history right away, because I find it so interesting how you came to NorthWestern Energy. But Molly, welcome to the podcast. First of all, are you nervous?
A little bit. Yeah, I had a little extra coffee this morning to amp up for it, but yeah, excited to be here too.
I've got mine, and it's a little bit hot right now. So hopefully by the end of this conversation, my coffee will be cold. I'll be able to just slam it and take care of it. We're both dealing with allergies, so if you hear a sneeze or cough during the show, we apologize. So Molly, welcome to the podcast. This is amazing. I think we're on number 9 or 10 right now. I'm not sure where you'll fit in the rundown. You could be like 11 or 12, but you didn't get rookie time. Hey, the podcast now is a well-oiled machine, and we have things all looking really good. And are we in your office, or are we at home right now?
Office.
The office. We are in Billings, Montana.
Yes. Yep.
The big city. But what's happening in Billings? What are summers like in Billings?
Billings summers are full. We have a pretty awesome downtown. There's always something going on downtown here. And between where I live in Laurel and Billings, if you can't find something to do, you're trying. So. And
Molly's in that mode of parent mode. Your kids are college age-ish and still chase them around in sports and things like that. If you don't know, some of our viewers don't know, Molly and her husband have a rich history at Montana Tech there in Butte, Montana. And Molly, you were a college athlete, and I think your husband played football?
Yeah, he played football.
And I
was a volleyball player.
And you were the stud volleyball player. But your husband played football for the guy that's always on the internet with all of his great quotes, right? Or he didn't play
Bob
for
Green,
him.
Yep.
Yeah, he
100%,
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a great guy. Yep.
If
Good
you don't
friend
know,
now too.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go on YouTube and Google Bob Green or Montana Tech, and his quotes are amazing. Does your husband have any stories from him?
Oh, yeah. They have a kind of an alumni trip. They go down to Jackpot, and just even some of the voice messages I could play for you. He has to hold his phone. Out here to listen to them, but they're hilarious. The guy has a memory like you can't believe how many players he's had over the years, and he remembers every one of your kids, where they're at. It's just insane. He's an amazing guy, but his greenisms are quite funny. I do also recommend going out and finding them.
As an athlete, a coach like that who uses humor to deflect maybe some of the bad things that happen. One of my favorite quotes from him was something to the effect of, I coached so bad today in this loss that Mrs. Green doesn't even want me to go to church with her tomorrow. It was something to that effect, or to the grocery store. I don't remember what it was, but that's all. Talk about your college career. You played volleyball, and then where were your studies at?
Well, yeah, so I went up there to play volleyball, and kind of didn't know what I wanted to go up into at Montana Tech. Volleyball was the main focus, but I kind of fell into, and this is a weird thing to fall into, is engineering. So I ended up getting a degree in mining engineering.
And that mining engineering took you where?
So that took me back to Colstrip. I'm actually from Colstrip, was raised there, went all through elementary, high school there. And then after a year in Louisiana, my husband and I, after, living through 2 hurricanes, we realized we don't like that weather compared to beautiful Montana weather. We can take snow any day. So we moved back, where he started a job at the power plant there in Colstrip, and I worked at the mine.
I find that very interesting. Colstrip, I have to believe, is a very tight-knit town.
Very
tight-knit. Just remote location. Everybody probably revolves around either mining or power production or the support of that, or, there is other jobs there, but I have to think that that's a tight-knit community, and still to this day probably is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It was rare if you had a friend who didn't have a parent who was either working at the power plant or the mine. Other than that, they're, either at the grocery store or teacher. There wasn't a big diverse amount of jobs, but very, very tight community.
Do you guys have a daughter?
Yeah,
So
we got two sons, one in college, one in high school, and then our daughter, she's a freshman.
so she
So
can sing "I'm proud to be a coal miner's daughter."
she can,
She
yeah.
can sing that. I was trying to do
I
the
don't know
math
if she
there.
ever
I'm like,
would, but she could totally sing it. Yeah, she could get away with it.
so you were you actually like tell me your job. Tell me what you did as far as in the mining industry. And granted, I'm going to preface this by saying our generation has inherited this technology, correct? We have Coal Strip in Montana. We have Big Stone in South Dakota. Those are two plants that Big Stone's 50 years old right now. How old's Coal Strip?
Uh, Colstrip kind of started in the 70s. I mean, there was some ranch type
Yeah.
families around there, but like when it really hit its boom, it was in the late 70s, early 80s. So it's pretty young considering.
And we know there's politics around the coal. There's politics around mining, things like that. But let's face it, coal and coal-fired generation is what got us to where we are right now. It's our job to take it for the next 50 years, and we'll get to that later. But tell us about your background in the coal and the mines. I find that interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool experience. I actually loved my job there in Colstrip. I got to do everything from some of the pre-studies that go into before you can even mine a strip of ground. You have to do all these studies on wildlife, air quality, water, all of the above. So I got to do from start to end of a process, and then designing stuff for the dozers and equipment that we put out in the field. Everything now is so that you just put out like basically a computer program of they'll see exactly what they're going to be digging. And I would help design some of that to the point where I got to design blast patterns to kind of, loosen that dirt for the equipment to move away. And then towards the end there, and throughout the whole process, I got to do the reclamation part, which was my all-time favorite. Basically, you are taking what was there originally and trying to make it better and tie into natural ground. And my favorite part of that job was taking people around and showing them, parts of the mine. And when they didn't realize that we'd actually mined there previously and that it was all reclaimed, they thought we were going into that section next. That was like the biggest achievement I could have gotten. And the mine itself, it was one of the moments of pride. They were award winning on their reclamation, and the city of Colstrip in general, I think the mine is a sense of pride because of, all the power it's provided for the West Coast, and yet we're doing it in an efficient, clean, responsible way.
Sounds absolutely boring. Did you ever get to drive any really big
Oh, I
trucks?
love it.
Did you get to drive big trucks?
I actually did. We did have a labor negotiation that took longer than expected. So they put some of us engineers, and I actually drove a 240 ton hauler with coal.
That's what you
It was
lead
awesome.
with, Molly. You lead
Oh,
with that
sorry.
stuff. You don't lead with the boring, well, I did this mathematics
Oh.
stuff on spreadsheets and was a nerd.
No.
You got to tell.
I do love the spreadsheet, so but
Did
I
you
do
get
like
a
haul trucks
Did
too.
you get to blow anything up? Did you ever do that?
Yeah, yeah, no. I have actually. If you go to Colstrip now, they still show my. It's called cast blasting, where you blast at an angle so it moves the dirt for you, and they still are showing the video I put together with music, as kind of their intro to coming into the mine. So yeah, blowing up stuff was part of the fun, but the sense of pride there was totally the reclamation.
Dude, for future references, lead with that stuff. Don't
Lead with the blasting
Don't
and the
lead
haul
with the
trucks, yeah.
school educational that Molly's smarter than
Oh.
me type stuff. You got to lead with the fun stuff. So from Colstrip, how long were you at Colstrip? How long were you in the?
Well, I worked at the mine coming up on 10 years. It was pretty close to that. And then that's about the time my husband, he'd gone through turbine and boiler engineer and stuff, and he was just looking for a little bit of a change too. And our kids were at the age where it was like we stay there until they graduate, or we make our decisions to move now. So that's where he went and joined the pipeline division of CHS, and I moved into community relations and government affairs for a different coal company, Cloud Peak Energy. Did that for a few years, then dabbled in legislation, worked for the Montana Coal Council as our executive director, and then last moved from the other side of digging the stuff that makes electricity to putting it on the lines and shipping it out with NorthWestern Energy.
And what a background to have that educational background as far as generation, coal, natural resources, things of that nature. You slid into this job and were effective immediately. And I think we all saw that, and we were all like, yes, this one fits very well. And so key accounts, economic development things, and you get in on some community relations type things. We very much integrate our community relations and our economic development and our key accounts, just because a lot of that just makes sense. And so you've been doing. How long have you been here? I don't know. It was 3 or 4, 5.
3
Okay.
years in August. Yeah.
And Billings is the home base, but pretty much covering the entire state with some of those accounts, right?
Right.
Talk about, before we let's just, I already talked about it, so let's get to this right away. The next 10 years in energy are going to be extremely interesting. We know coal at some point is going to go by the wayside. It needs to. It's one of those technologies that we understand there's things that we need to do right away. Wind and solar can help. It's not the answer right now because we need base load generation. And we start to look at things like nuclear. We have our hydro in Montana. But you start to talk about nuclear, and that's one of those things where, by the time I resign, by the time my retirement comes around, hopefully there's the next generation of generation in the field. And that's honestly what we're working on right now. And we inherited the coal. It's our privilege and our due diligence to use that to its best of its ability, but also understand when that course is run. The future is bright. What do you see as far as future-wise? What are we looking at in Montana and South Dakota as far as generation? And does that give you a little bit of like pain in your heart to know that chapter is probably coming to a close for Montana? The coal, the mining, things like that.
100%.
Are you kidding me,
I mean,
Molly? Molly, I got to stop this right now.
Yeah. What's going on?
We're having a fire drill, and it's
Oh, are
raining
you
outside.
serious?
I'm 100% honest. Just let this roll.
Oh,
I'll come
okay.
in. I'll piece this out. Just
Okay.
let it roll. I'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Not
Okay,
even
sounds
kidding.
good.
3 hours later.
I'm gonna have a video of me sitting here coughing. So
All right. Can you hear me again?
yeah, yep.
Wow, that was funny. Let me shut my phone back off and get back into things here. Yeah, everybody was kind of like, "Oh, really? This is when we're doing it?" It's absolutely raining out, and
Right.
yeah. Where were we? We were talking about the future. We were talking about
Yes.
where we're going. Talk about that a little bit. Kind of the next steps, the next 50 years, and kind of what we're looking at.
Okay, well, I think the plan is to transition away from coal, but, in the next while till we have that bridge, it's going to be, Colstrip's going to be an important part of our portfolio for the next little while. But, I mean, Colstrip's now looking more at like an energy hub than just a coal town. And I think the residents there see it. We see it as a company. We have so much infrastructure there for it not to be that energy hub for us. So, Colstrip's going to be part of that transition, but we are always looking at different options of energy, and new ones are developing, hopefully even more in the near future. But small nuclear reactors is one that the entire world's really looking at and focusing on, because the demand of power is it's not lessening for us. It's definitely going up, and it's actually going up at a faster speed than it has since World War II. With all the data centers you and I get calls on, some days daily.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to get that base load power covered. And it's got to be something that's going to be able to be consistent, to add with our renewables that can get our customers and then the new load to the next 50 years.
The energy hub term is very interesting because it is. The infrastructure is there. We have the ability to move power. So why not put the next generation in that
Right.
area and kind of utilize what's already in the ground there, are already planted there. When we go back
Including the people.
Yo,
The people there, I mean,
yeah,
they're trained in this, so it's a win-win for the community and us.
that's one thing you don't think about is the people that are currently running our generation and currently experts in it are going to have a little bit of a reset. Probably
Yeah.
some of them midstream, some of them early in their career, some late in their career, but there is going to be a little bit of a turnover. But that is the fact that the people are already there in the coal strip area, and that's one of those things that's an asset for Montana, that we have that readily available workforce ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's go back and talk about small nuclear reactors just a little bit. And obviously, our company is doing a lot of research into this, and time, effort. You want to make the right choice when you go forward with these things. And I think when we all start to think about nuclear, the first thing we probably think about is the bad things. Homer Simpson, Fukushima, things like that.
Right.
SMRs, there's an education process that probably needs to happen for many, many, many Americans. The SMR reliability, the safety, the lack of spent fuel, it's pretty amazing. And from your background, because I kind of know it because I've got the same background now. We've been doing the same thing since about a year ago. Talk about that a little bit and how exciting it is just to even be on the cutting edge of that.
And I have to say, I don't know about you, but when I first got into it too, I kind of had that convince me mentality. But through the different groups we've worked with, university systems, federal programs of getting information about nuclear, especially the small nuclear reactors, boy, it's been just eye-opening to me. The safety on it, the amount of power we can produce in these small little pods. It's just mind-blowing. When I talked about the coal strip and the people who work in coal strip there, whether it's coal strip or any other kind of coal generating facility, one of the craziest things I learned about it is nearly 80% of the workforce could literally leave work on Friday at a coal mine and walk over to one of these new small nuclear reactor facilities on Monday and be able to pick up their same work process. Just the disasters and everything we heard about, I mean, those are pretty, I mean, we can name two, really.
Yeah.
And then the more we've learned about these ones, we've got 52, I believe, in the United States operating now. They're bringing on some more. They've been testing these small nuclear reactors forever. I mean, well, not forever, but in the last, what they say, 20 years, at least. They're what's basically in a submarine at this current moment. I had one guy come up to me and they were asking the question, would you ever put a small nuclear reactor in your backyard? And the lady who was a nuclear engineer was like 100%. Like, it would not bother me one bit. And one of the guys came and said, I was on a submarine for the United States, and my head literally was next to one of those small nuclear reactors the entire time. And I turned out, he goes, it's just the knowledge base of we're dealing with a different, newer technology, and it's not the extreme of what it was in the past. It's
the old
like
ones,
any technology, it's completely developed.
When you compare the two technologies to each other, when you kind of understand, the old technology is archaic, not safe. But if you look at the safety record, if you look at even if you look at the impact on the environment that nuclear has, it's less than some of your renewable resources that are out there already. And that's and let's just call out our friends to the west, Idaho National Laboratory.
Oh, yeah.
Set the standard. I had the privilege of driving through INL. I've been to Arco, Idaho. I've seen where the first nuclear-powered light bulb took off. Very interesting. And the things they're doing out there is going to shape the energy future if nuclear is the next step. And what they've done at INL.
You can't get those megawatts and get a zero emitting carbon technology without nuclear at this point. There is no other technology that can provide that. And whether we go that route or not. I'm glad we are looking into the future at it, watching other larger companies kind of be the test for it and to see if it's maybe a fit for us. If not, there might be another technology we can look into. But I've really enjoyed. I've nerded out, to be honest with you, on the nuclear side. So I'm all for looking at stuff like this, and nuclear's kind of become top of my mind.
And that's the same thing here. That's one of the things that obviously, like I said, we're doing the same thing on separate sides of the system. How many megawatts at its peak was Colstrip? Is Colstrip? Was it? Because I know some of we've shut down some.
Over 2000. So it was units 1 and 2, which are no longer in operations. They were 307. Gosh, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. 307 apiece. Megawatts there, and then each of units 3 and 4 are 740. So, it had some major scale to it. Right now, we couldn't function as a company without those megawatts.
And here's
from unit 4.
Here's the crazy thing. We're talking 700 megawatts.
Yeah.
We have companies coming to us right now asking for more just to get data centers, things like that started. Now you can argue. I know that there's a pro and a con. I can play devil's advocate to, do we really want these data centers here? Quite honestly, we do. We want them in America. We want them in rural areas. We want them, quite honestly, as a customer, you'd want them on your system. They're going to take the price of things down. These are things that we're out actively pursuing because of what it does for security, for all of our information on a personal and on a company level. We keep these things in America, and on top of it, if we can house those loads in South Dakota, Montana, that's something that we can. I mean, that sets up business things in our economic development, taxes, things like that. It's just
taxes are going to be a big,
and these places,
changer too.
The places that are building these have way more money than time. So time is of the essence, and we're trying to make these things happen. So yeah, that's what Molly and I are doing for a living right now.
Well, and just to give you an example, when you talk size and scale, I get a lot of the economic development groups like you do coming to you and saying, hey, we'd like to put an 800 megawatt data center here. Can you tell me more? So one of the examples I try to just to put it into scale on energy levels, we just finished up the Yellowstone County generating station here just out of Laurel. And that's 175 megawatts. And that's producing a great amount of power for our customers. It's going to be kind of great benefit, great for the county. But that's 175, and they're asking for an 800 megawatt facility. So just in concept of how much energy some of these the bigger ones can get. I mean, it's all over the board right now, but it's going to be a race to who can get their data centers and what states house them. And we're having new departments created within our groups just to try to manage this overload of need for energy.
So I would venture to say, and I'm probably speaking out of school here, but I would venture to say 5 years ago, there wasn't a person internally with NorthWestern Energy that was talking about nuclear. And if you look at the last 12 months of our career, and we're not the people that are going to be hooking this up to the system. Yeah. Thank goodness, right? Everyone watching and listening. We're just the ones out there just helping with the looking into this and the research of it. But this is new territory for all of us. I mean, we're talking about taking old nuclear plants that were the old original design and retrofitting them with SMRs in the USA. If you would have told me that 5 years ago, I'm like, that's never happening. But I think that's where things are going.
Well, and even, I mean, we went through that gain of Bitcoin and the storage of those, but now the new data centers and the AI that's developing faster than we I think as a nation are keeping up with. That's a whole nother thing. I don't think people were getting calls daily about data centers 5 years ago. I know they weren't, so it's definitely changed our landscape as a company and ours even in the economic development part of it under our hats there. So it's a new and exciting time, and fielding a lot of calls, I will say that.
For sure. Going back to Colstrip and going back to that June, big month for Colstrip. It's Colstrip Days.
Heck yes, yeah.
I mean, I've been to Evel Knievel Days in Butte, Montana, so I don't know if you guys can do it like Butte or St. Patrick's Day in Butte. Is it anything?
Oh, no.
Is it anything even close to what Butte can do? Is Colstrip on that level?
No, nobody can compete with Butte, America.
Thank you.
It's its own
Butte,
it's its own gemstone.
if Butte's my hometown as far as Montana's concerned. I go to Butte enough that I'm from here on South Dakota. I always kind of tell everybody we're kind of the Butte, the one. We're kind of the tough, hardworking. Here on South Dakota is kind of the Butte of South Dakota. People kind of trash talk us a little bit, and we stand up proud for ourselves. And they have Evel Knievel Days, and we have Wheel Jam. If you put an engine in it, you can drink beer. It's always going to be a success. So what's Colstrip Days?
Well, and when you say blue collar, I tell you, those are my favorite towns. And living in my adult life and childhood too, I've lived in Colstrip, Butte, and now Laurel, which are all like the most blue collar towns, I think, in Montana. I mean, all good, hardworking places, but Colstrip in general, man, they throw a good party at the end of June. I starts around June 25th, goes through that weekend. Yeah, June 25th, I believe, goes through the weekend. But I mean, they have everything from fireworks to street dances to, I think I saw this year they're doing some kind of, I think it was Irish bowling. I mean, they have all sorts of things. They have a foam thing that the kids can go through, a little water slide thing they put on a hill with the fire trucks bring the water. I mean, it really is a tight community, but when Colstrip Days comes, you start to see some of those people like myself who were raised there, bringing their families back for this event. It's a big one.
Yeah, it's Montana things, right? Let's get the fire department out and make a big slip and slide off the side of a hill. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I don't get to Montana as much as I used to, but when I do get out there, it's our service territory is so incredible. From the plains to the mountains to the small businesses that this is a one-of-a-kind business that I mean, we have such culture in where we serve. And if you think about our big kind of our business hubs, the Sioux Falls Brookings of our systems, the Billings, and that you have those, and then you have those small regional hubs that you got your tourism, obviously with Bozeman and Great Falls, amazing place to visit. We do serve one of those areas that it's unlike anything, and the footprint is so gargantuan.
Yeah. We have more polls than we have customers. That's our favorite thing, to tout here. But it is true because we're going out to all these smaller communities, and it's such, I mean, between the two states, it's a huge territory.
Talk about your favorite. What's a great day for Molly? Work day.
Work day?
Yeah, not personal day, because I assume it's sitting in a baseball or football game or something, watching the kids. But what's a great work day?
It'd probably be up in Butte for that one. But no, a great day of work for me is actually getting to start a lot of the mornings meeting somebody new in the community. Now that I'm putting on that community relations hat, I've really enjoyed kind of getting back out there and meeting with somebody that, we're either providing a sponsorship or donation to, and just seeing what they're doing in the community. Then getting back to the office and getting either called in on a nuclear or a data center, or, honestly, at this point, and I'm sure you're the same, Tom, you just never know what the day is going to bring. You have a calendar, and some people don't like that. I absolutely thrive on the chaos and the not knowing, but being able to quick rotate, even storm reaction here in our Billings division. We've got literally, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I think we have the best division here. And even during times when it's stressful, we're such a good group that I almost enjoy the process and watching how good our guys are out in the field and our guys getting them situated are. So, I do like a little chaos, and it's perfect for the job I'm in, to be honest with you.
But for as much as a planner as you are, and for much as an engineer mind as you have, I wouldn't think you would enjoy the chaos like I do. I absolutely, and of course, you don't want power lines on the ground. You don't want anybody out of power. But when that happens, I absolutely get to dive in and take care of the insanity that it is, and to watch everyone. I was just telling somebody literally when I was out there on the fire, I've never, in 20 years of working here, I've never seen people like blow up and get mad at each other. And we go through some pretty intense times.
Right. Well, and I have to tell you, I even when I wasn't working engineer in Colstrip, the big joke was I was a bit of the chatty person, and I loved giving the tours and all that. So the joke was I had an engineering degree. I wasn't quite an engineer. My brain works a lot different than the engineers that I worked with. So I think that was a benefit, but also reason why when I got the opportunity to move into community relations and government affairs with the next company, much better fit, because I like advocating for so many of the things that people don't really know about, and I like the science and advocating for it and the understanding of it, because I think it's, especially anything STEM based, I feel like there's this misconception on it. It's not marketed like everything else to be a cool thing. So to find somebody who's a dork like me and loves that type stuff and loves to talk about it, I feel sometimes I'm the weirdest person in the room, but roll with it, I guess.
You know how to tell the difference between an introverted and an extroverted engineer, correct?
I'll look at their shoes.
Yes, the extroverted engineer. Molly is the kind of engineer that actually looks at your shoes when she's talking to you. Yeah. I used to tell people I translate engineer for a living, but that's really not the case anymore, because maybe 10, 15 years ago, the engineers didn't really, but I think as communication has progressed, I think our engineers are a lot different than that original engineer. And I honestly, I look across our service territory, and there's not an engineer that couldn't hold their own in a great conversation. So that's one of those things. But yeah, it's I
mean, there's definitely some still out there.
Yeah,
but,
there is. But
I feel like NorthWestern Energy does a really good job of hiring engineers that have that ability to speak and are social. So there's definitely other engineering worlds that's not the case.
Right. And
so,
as far as employees, it's a top-notch company. I am amazed by the people that I get to work with all the time. You and I work with Greg Bailey, Pat Sampson, some of those guys. They're heroes within the community that they serve, and they're heroes within this buildings that we work in. I just had Merkel on the podcast not too long ago, and Jason Merkel is one of those guys that, if your truck was broke down on the side of the road, he's the Montanan that you want to drive by, because he's going to be able to fix it and then go fix power lines later and be the boss of all the people helping fix the power lines. This is the kind of people we have, and that's the amazing thing about this company, and that's why, we're glad that you migrated from where you were into where you're at. So we're super blessed to have you, and thank you so much for coming on the show and doing what you do. I think part of us being who we are, I'm sitting in my hometown. I moved away. I was in Sioux Falls for a while, and asked to move back. Part of the appeal that I think a person like you and I, we're local. We're not somebody from the outside coming in and trying to help people understand what this company is trying to do. We're your hometown person, so there's some trust built in, and we're not gonna lie. We're not gonna make up company jargon. I mean, I'm gonna tell it like it is, and I think that's something that you probably possess as well in that area.
Yeah, we're raising our families here. We're part of the communities, so we're gonna want the best for ourselves, as well as our customers. So, 100% think that sense of pride that you and I carry helps in our positions for sure.
Yeah, what benefits us, benefits our communities, benefits our schools, our roads, everything. Molly, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I had to leave for 10 minutes with the fire drill. That's a first here on the outlet, but.
No, it was great. Thanks so much, Tom.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks to Lori Nelson. Lori put this all together. She is our executive producer. She's also in charge of my hair and makeup, and she was in charge of pulling the fire alarm today, too. So that was Lori just throwing me an extra curveball. So.
And another great Colstrip girl, too.
Colstrip girl is Brandy Powers.
Yeah.
I mean, with a name like Brandy Powers, you have to have been from Colstrip. I know that's her married name,
yes.
but that's pretty amazing. So, all right. Thank you, Molly, and have fun at Colstrip Days.
I will. Yeah, thanks, Tom.
All right, join us next time on NorthWestern Energy's The Outlet.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of The Outlet. For more information and weekly energy updates, like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or visit northwesternenergy.com.